So good morning everyone. As a part of Unit 3 continuation, today let us discuss what is XML parser. So we have started Unit 3 in Web Technologies and we have discussed what is XML, what are the XML files and how we can create the DTD and what are the DTD files, and then what is DOM and how we can create DOM files. All these things we have discussed in previous classes. So as a continuation for that, today if we discuss what is XML parser and what is XSLT, so we can finish Unit 3. So as a part of that, what is XML parser? So what is XML parser? Generally you have listened so many times what is a parser in computer organization or any other programming languages. In any other programming languages, maybe you have learned what a parser is. Same way, what is the XML parser here? So a parser is the bridge between XML document and the applications or browsers where this document is being opened. So what is a parser? So parser is the bridge between XML document and the applications such as web browser or the processor where we are processing the XML document. So in computer organization, computer architecture or any other programming languages, we have learned what is a compiler, what is a interpreter and what is a parser also. So same way we are talking about the parsers in XML also. So parser is a bridge which will act between the XML document and the application such as whether web browser or the processor where this XML document is being executed. So what this parser will do actually? Parser will check the structure, content of XML documents and check whether the XML document is valid or not. So XML document is valid or not. So we have started Web Technologies Unit 3 and till now we have seen how to write an XML file, what is DTD document type definition and what is DOM document object model. All these things are just creating code. Now what is XML parser? What the coding file you created, we need to validate that coding file. For the validation we are using XML parser. So parser will act as a bridge between XML document and web browser. Parser will check the structure and content of XML document and finally it will do validity also. XML document validity also done by parser. So how many types of parsers we have? Two types of parsers we have. What are the two types of parsers? Non-validating parsers, validating parsers. So while we are discussing Unit 2 JavaScript in Web Technologies, Unit 2 JavaScript is entirely about validating the HTML files. Now in third unit we have discussed what is XML, extensible markup language. So to validate the extensible markup language, we have the concept parser. So non-validating parsers, validating parsers. These are the two types of parsers we have. So the basic motto of this XML parser is to check the structure of XML and to check the validity. So what we can do using non-validating parsers or validating parsers, either we can check the structure or content of XML document or we can do validation. So let us see how these parsers will work. So first thing, what is a non-validating parser? So what is the first kind of parser? Non-validating parser. So what do you mean by validating? If you have generated a registration form or if you have generated a login form and you are trying to enter into that form using your credentials like username and password, the browser or server should be in a position to check whether your password and username are correct or not. That is nothing but validation. If I want to log in into Amazon or Flipkart, I will log in using username and password. That Amazon server should be in a condition that whether the given username and password are valid or not. Means if somebody is entering with the username Pujita and some sort of password, the server should be in a position that whether this Pujita is genuine user and the password is created by genuine user or not. Such kind of validations are done at server side and for that validations we are using XML parsers. In that first type is non-validating parser. So what this non-validating parser will do? It will check for the syntax and whether the XML documents is well formed or not. So I already told you well structured document is very important. So first point in non-validating parsers is document should be in well formatted, well formed document we should have, and this non-validating parser will always check for syntax. We already know what is syntax and semantics in unit 1. So we already studied the subject PPL, Principles of Programming Languages. There we know what is syntax and semantics, and in unit 1 also we know what is the syntax and semantics. So syntax, some sort of rules, semantics, meaning of that rules. So any sort of rules in our subject are called as syntax, and meaning of that rules is called as semantics. So what is the first thing that a non-validating parser will look for? Syntax. And second point, it adds elements to the XML documents based on the elements declared in DTD. What is DTD? Document type definition. So only 3 things the non-validating parser will do. In that, first thing is checking for the syntax. Second thing is checking for the well-formed XML document. And third thing is adding the elements to XML document, and these elements we can get from DTD, nothing but document type definition. So our second type is validating parsers. So what these validating parsers will do? They will do only 2 things. First one is checking whether the XML document is valid or not. Second one is checking whether the XML document is well formed or not. So I'll show you the difference. I'll write the program and I'll show you the difference. What is the difference between well formed document and not well formed document? So these 2 are the 2 types of parsers we have. These 2 are the 2 types of parsers we have. Non-validating parsers, validating parsers. So what these 2 will do? They will do some sort of actions. So non-validating parsers will check for the syntax, will check for the well-formed document, will add the elements to XML documents that are declared in DTD. So what the valid parsers will do? They will check for the validity, they will check whether the document is well-formed or not. So let us see the examples. So the choice of parser will always depend on XML document. So what parser you should use? Whether you should use validating parser or you should use non-validating parser, that will depend on the type of XML document. Second point, if the XML document is simple, we can use non-validating parser. So first thing, what kind of parser should use is depending upon us, our interest. Second point, if the XML document is simple, you can use non-validating parser. And next, if the XML application is used for exchanging information between organizations, we can use validating parser. So there will be a server and there will be a client, as we know from the previous classes. There will be networks also. If there is the information exchange between organizations, if there is the information exchange between institutions, then we'll go for validating parser. But if our XML document is simple, then we'll go for non-validating parser. So how can we summarize this XML parsers? Parser is the bridge between your parser will act as a bridge between your XML document and web browser. Parsers are of 2 types, non-validating and validating. Non-validating parsers are for simple elements and simple applications. If there is the information exchange between organizations, then you want to go for validating parsers. So the concept of parsers we can summarize like this. And what are the most commonly used parsers? The most commonly used parsers are DOM, Document Object Model Parsers, SAX, Simple API XML Parsers. So the most commonly used XML parsers are 2. First one is DOM, Document Object Model Parser. Second one is SAX, Simple API XML Parser. Simple API XML Parser. So what is a parser? What are the 2 types of parser? What is the definition of types of parsers? Then how we can conclude the parsers? Then what are the commonly used parsers? Document Object Model Parsers, Simple API XML Parsers. So let us see what is the difference between these 2 parsers. So first one is Document Object Model Second one is SAX, Simple API XML. So first one is DOM, Document Object Model. Second one is Simple API XML. So let us see what is the difference between these two types of parsers. So see here, DOM parser will create a tree structure in the memory from input document and then waits for the request from the client. What a DOM will do? DOM will create a tree structure. Where it will create the tree structure? In the memory. How it can create the tree structure? From taking the input document, and it will wait for the request from the client. On the other hand, SAX parser will not create any structure. There is no creation of tree structure in the memory. There is no inputs from the documents. There is no waiting from the client. Simple in SAX parsers. But in DOM parsers, this parser will create a tree structure in the memory from the input document and then waits for the request from the client. So the second point in DOM parser always serves the client application with the entire document irrespective of how much exactly needed by the client. If the client needed only 10 pages or if the client needed only 5 pages, irrespective of the need of the client, this DOM parser will give entire document. If the document is of 5,000 pages, real world example can be like all the 6 units WT material you need it, but for mid one you need only first 3 units material. What this DOM parser will do, irrespective of the student needs, all the 6 unit materials are sent. The same thing happened in DOM. Irrespective of the client request, entire document will be sent. So that is not good in DOM. So when you need 3 units of material for mid examinations, the parser should be in a position to give you only 3 units of material. So you are the client. What is your need? First 3 units of material. So your parser should be in a position to give you only first 3 units of material. But what this DOM is doing, irrespective of the client request, irrespective of the client need, this DOM parser will always give the entire document, which is not good. Then what will SAX parser will do? SAX parser will always serve the client application with only piece of document at any given time. So whatever you need, whether you need unit 1 material, your SAX parser will give only unit 1 material. If you need only online bits, your SAX parser will give only online bits. So this is the difference. When you are the client, need is from your side, this DOM parser is irrespective of your need, providing everything. What this SAX parser will do, according to your need, what the piece of information you require, that it will provide. So the third point in DOM parser, method calls in a client application has to be explicit. Whereas in SAX parsers, method calls are invoked implicitly. So calls, methods and calls, you know from any programming language. In DOM, these methods and calls are explicit. In SAX, these methods and calls are implicit. So summarize the differences. In DOM, it is going to create a tree structure in the memory from input document and waits for the client. In SAX, there is no creation of any structures and waiting for the client. In DOM, irrespective of the client need, all the entire document is provided. In SAX, only piece of document is provided at a time. In DOM, all the methods and calls are invoked explicitly. In SAX, all the methods are invoked implicitly. So let us see what is a parser, types of parsers, non-validating and validating. So non-validating will check for the syntax, will check for the syntax and will check for the well-formedness and will add the elements based on declared in DTD. So valid parser will check for only validation and well-formed documents. So how we can summarize these parsers? Choice of parser will always depend on XML document. But if you are going to work on simple applications, go for non-validating parser. But if there is a information exchange between organizations, go for validating parser. So most commonly used parsers in the real world, DOM and SAS. So what are the differences for DOM and SAS? We have seen. So next, we are slowly moving into creating this XML. How we can create this? So when creating the XML document, you need to ensure that document is well formed and valid. That is the first point. An XML parser provides two types of checks. What are the two types of checks an XML parser can provide? Whether the document is well formed or the document is valid or not. So whenever you want to create an XML document, you should be in a position that you should follow 2 points. What are the 2 points? Whether the XML document is well formed. Second one, whether the XML document is valid. So now let us see the example. What is a well formed XML document? From the previous 10 slides, I have been telling you that XML document should be well formed, XML document should be well validated. So now actually, what is the good example of well formed XML document? In that first point, in any well formed XML document, we must have a root element. If we want to tell one document as a well formed document, we will have certain parameters. In that first parameter is having a root element. There are 10 qualities to tell a person good person. Likewise, there are some points. If the points are followed, then we can tell the document is well formed. So if I wanted to tell a document is well formed, I must have a root element. So if you see in this example, you can observe what is a well formed document is. So see here, this is the example for displaying countries, where I have a root element like countries open tag and countries closing tag. So this is a well formed document. On the other hand, in the example 2, I don't have a open tag, I don't have a closed tag for country. So this is not a well formed document. So first point to be followed when talking about well formed document is root element. So obviously I should have a rooting element, opening tag and closing tag. When I don't have the rooting element, open tag and close tag, that cannot be a well formed document. So what is the next point? So opening and ending tag, for every tag we should have a opening tag and ending tag. So that way we can call it as a well formed document. So if you observe here, so observe in this example, countries is the root. In this example, countries is the root element. For the root element, we have opening tag and ending tag. So we can tell it a well formed document. But every tag in the program, every tag in your entire file should have a opening tag and closing tag. Country name, open tag, end tag. Capital, open tag, end tag. Same way, if you see the example 2, we have the root element, we have the opening tag and closing tag, but here capital end tag is missing. Capital end tag is missing. So example 2 is not a well formed document. Example 1 is a well formed document. So what is the first point? If your document to be well formed, we should have the root element. Second point, if your document should be well formed, we should have the opening tag and ending tag. So in example 1, we have all the root elements, opening tags and close tags. In the example 2, we have root elements, but we don't have the close tag for capital. So example 2 is not a well formed document. So let us see one more example. If a document should be well formed document, then we should have a appropriate nesting. So what is appropriate nesting? We have, for example, I am taking vegetables example. So while I am taking vegetables example, here I have taken vegetables as the root element. So this root element should be closed. Okay. When I have taken leafy as the sub root, that leafy should be end tag. That is also okay. But when I am having name as spinach, I should close this name tag here. So you can see here, vegetables is the root element, so we have root ending tag. Leafy is the subroot element, so we have leafy ending tag also. But internally attribute name is name, and that is spinach. That name tag should close here immediately. So this is well formed document, and example 1 is not a well formed document. So if you see here, so third point to decide whether a document is well formed or not is appropriate nesting. Means appropriate nesting means whenever you open a tag, you should close it immediately. So here the spinach name is not closed immediately, so this is the well formed document. So let us see what is the fourth point. Values always enclosed in quotation mark. First point, we should have the root elements. Second point, we should have the all closing and ending tags. Third point, we should have appropriate nesting. Fourth point, all the values are always enclosed in quotation marks. So if you see here, country ID 1 is always enclosed in quotations. In example 2, country ID 1 is not enclosed in quotations. So example 2 is not a well formed document. Example 1 is a well formed document. Because here country ID 1 and 2 are always enclosed in quotations. So in this example, again I am taking the example of countries. Here I have taken the parameter country name ID. This ID I must be given in the form of numerical values. So all these numerical values should always enclose it in quotations. So example 2 is not a well formed document. Example 1 is well formed document because all the numerical values are enclosed in quotations. This is exactly, you can see here, I already marked ID 1. So see here exactly, ID 1, ID 2 are enclosed in quotations. So example 1 is well formed XML document. If you see here, ID 1 and ID 2 are not enclosed in quotations, so it is not a well formed document. And finally, we should have matching tags so that we can tell it is a well formed XML document. So see here, countries, so we have 5 parameters to tell a document is a well formed document. In that fifth one is we should have the matching of tags. So your root element is in small letters, your ending tag also should be in small letters only. All your attributes and tags are having open and closing tags, so all the ending tags also should be in small letters only. But you see in example 1, your country's root element is opening tag is small alphabets and your root element ending tag is capital letters. So we must have the matching of tags. So our fifth parameter is matching of tags. So if we have the matching of tags, then we can call it as a well formed XML document. So once let us see what are the 5 parameters we have to tell a document is a well formed document. Yes. So a document can be a well formed document if we have 5 parameters. In that first one is root element. So every code or every XML file should have a root element, then you can tell it well formed XML document. Second one is we should have opening and ending tag. For every opened tag we should have the end tag. So third parameter is we must have the appropriate nesting for all the tags. So fourth point is values are always enclosed in quotation marks. Finally, fifth point is we should have the matching of tags. If we have all these 5 parameters, then we can tell a document is a well formed document. So next let us see how to validate a XML document. How we can validate the XML document. So for validating, for checking whether the XML document is well validated or not, first it should be in the well-formed document. Then it should confirm the match and comply to the rules of specified in DTD. So DTD is nothing but document type definition. DTD is nothing but document type definition. In this we have some sort of rules. So if any document want to be validated, first it should be well formed. Then it should follow all the rules specified in DTD. All the rules that are specified in DTD must be followed. So our next and last topic in Unit 3, XSLT. So till now what we have seen, what is XML, extensible markup language, then what is DTD, document type definition, what rules we have, how can we create the DTD file, then what is DOM, nothing but document object model, how we can create the DOM files, then what is XML schema, how we can create the XML schema files. For everything we have seen theory points, parallelly example coding files also. And recently we have seen what is the XML parser. So last topic of Unit 3 is XSLT. So what we can do with the XSLT? So we know how to do the parsing. So to make the XML document more attractive, we can apply style sheets to them. So in the first unit we have seen what is HTML and what is CSS. CSS means cascading style sheets. So to make HTML files more beautiful, we are adding CSS files. Same way, to make XML documents more beautiful, we are adding XSLT. So to make the XML documents more attractive, we are adding styling sheets. We have two types of styling sheets. First one is cascading styling sheets, CSS. Second one is extensible style sheet language, XSL. Extensible style sheet language. So XSL is more powerful than CSS. So XSL is divided into three parts like XPath, XQuery and XSLT. So this is the thing. What is XSLT? To make the XML document more attractive, we are using the sheets. So what are the common sheets we know? CSS and extensible style sheet language, XSL. So to make the HTML documents more beautiful, we are using extensible style sheet language or CSS. Same way, to make the XML document more beautiful, we are having XSL, extensible style sheet language. This language can be divided into three parts: XSLT, XPath, XQuery. So let us see what are the uses of extensible style sheet language. So first one, XSL can sort or filter the XML elements. So XSL can format or structure the XML data depending on supplied values. XSL can be used to add or delete XML elements. XSL can be used for testing as well as making decisions about the elements, whether to add or delete. XSL is capable of transforming as well as formatting the given XML documents. So we have multiple uses with XSL, extensible style sheet language. It can using this we can add or delete the elements, or we can sort out the elements, or we can make the structure also. So main thing is how we have used CSS for HTML. We are using this extensible style sheet language for XML. So this is divided into three parts: XSLT, XPath and XQuery. So many uses we have, but what an XSL can do? Using this we can add the elements or delete the elements, or we can form the structure of XML, or either we can transform the elements into some other form, or we can perform testing also. Now let us see what are the elements of this extensible style sheet language. So if you see here, first one is when. First element is when. Second element is value of. Third element is style sheet. Fourth element is template. Fifth element is pipe. And sixth element is otherwise. So why these elements are used? Different elements with their uses we have in extensible style sheets. So when is used during conditional testing. Value of is used to specify the selected attribute. So style sheet is used for indicating several templates. So template element is used for the given template that is defined. So pi is used for processing instruction, and this otherwise is used for conditional testing. So these are the elements in extensible style sheet language. So these elements are used for conditional testing, for specifying the templates, and for select attribute, all these things. So what are the other elements we have? If element is used to test Boolean conditions. EVAL is used for evaluation of piece of code. Copy is used for, to copy the elements from the given source or output. Define template set. It is used to define more than one attribute. Element is used to display the element. Entity ref element is used for entity reference created in the output. So different elements we have in extensible style sheets. In that elements, first one is when. When is used for conditional testing. Second one is value of. Value of is used for selecting the attributes. Third one is style sheet. It is used for copying some styles from current document to templates. So template attribute is used for predefined templates. Pi element is used for processing the instruction. Otherwise element is used for conditional testing. If is used for testing Boolean conditions. EVAL is used for evaluation of piece of code. Copy is used for copying the element from source to the output. Define template set is used for defining more than one attribute. Element is used to display the elements. Entity ref is used for creating the entity reference and display the output. So some other elements we have. Node name. Node name is used to display the element name as output. Comment is used to add the comments. Choose element is used to check the condition of the given element. See data is used to display the output. Apply templates is used for declaring the set of templates. So what are the elements we have? Node name. It is used to display the element name. Comment for adding the comments. Choose to check whether the given condition of the element. See data for displaying the output. Apply templates. It is to declare the set of templates. So now example. So if you see this example here, you can understand data in XML document will always appear in unformatted form. Unformatted form. So data in XML document will always appear in unformatted form. This is the example from the previous classes only. This example will give you the output of countries. So while talking about XML file, we have seen the example of countries and the output. If you see this example, data in XML file will always be in unformatted form only. So now you need to change that into a formatted form. To change that data into a formatted form, you must construct a tree. For constructing a tree, you need to write the code. So I have taken the example of blood donors and the tree is called as resultant tree. So whatever tree here you are seeing, now, this tree is result tree. So to make the data in XML file into a formatted data, we are using the result tree. So you already know this program, blood donors information system. So using this program, you can generate the output and that output should be in the form of a tree. Because our XML data should be in a formatted way. So if you see here carefully, if style sheet is not properly attached to XML document, or if you run the XML document without the style sheet, then output will be as shown here. 2 points. If you run the XML file without the style sheet, or if the style sheet is not properly attached to the XML file, then output will not be in the form of tree. Output will be like the single line you can see here. Naveen O positive from Prakasham cell phone number. Sharath O positive from Guntur cell phone number. If first point is all the XML data will be unformed way. Second point is to make it into formal way, we are using the concept of style sheets. If while executing, if both the XML document and style sheet are not properly attached, or you forgot to run the style sheet, then the output will be like single line theory. Otherwise, the output will be like result tree. Let us see some more examples. Yes, in this example, you can clearly identify. We have generated the XML style sheet. In the XML style sheet, we are generating blend owners information system. So here we have used the element value of select. We have different elements in style sheets. In this, we are using the element value of select. Why we are using value of select? To give the particular value. So what values I gave here? Naveen, O positive, Prakasham and cell phone number. This is the result tree. Now, I have generated a style sheet. In that style sheet, I am including the template, value of select, all these elements. Using all these things, I want to generate a result tree. So from this example, data in the XML document is in unformatted form. So from this example, we want to tell that we should have the style sheet separately, then only we can get the formatted data in XML. So these are the rules to be followed. Both the XML and style sheet should be properly attached and properly executed so that we can get the result tree. So if you see here, you can understand how the output will be there. So first I have generated a style sheet. Then in that style sheet I am using some elements like template and value of select. Using this I want to generate the blend owners information system result tree. So all the points are followed. So if you see, all the points are followed in these examples. So here we have used only template and value of sheet, so we got only result tree. Or else we are getting the output like this in a single line. See here, entire output is in single line. So all the donor name, blood group, from the district, phone number, and second donor also we are getting continuation. So what actually we should do? Here we should have a break and sharats should come in the second line. According to our result tree, this set of attributes are different. These set of attributes are different. So these 4 attributes should be one output. Next 4 attributes should be the other output. But it is not in the well formatted way. So how many examples if we see also, the output we are getting in the single line. If we are using only 4 attributes also, we are getting the 4 attributes linely. So to avoid all these things, we can come up with a solution. So to avoid all these things, this will be the solution where we are using XML, HTML, XSL, means style sheets also. So if you observe here, we have the HTML tags. I have taken the table with the border 1 and I have taken all the table rows and columns. Then I implemented this style sheets inside the table so that I got the output like this. If you can see the table here, first I have generated a table. I have created rows and columns. Then I separated the output. To do this, what I have done, this XML style sheet, templates, blend owner information system, all these things are same. Using the template element, value of sheet element, all these things are same. But I am implementing HTML tables also in this. So the resultant tree also same, but I will get the output like this in the form of a table because I am using table tags here. So this is the difference. In this we have used table and I have set the table border as 1. That's why I got output in the form of a table. Otherwise, in the previous examples, always I am getting a clumsy output. To avoid this clumsiness in the output in the previous examples, first I identified Both the XML and style sheets should be properly executed and matched. Then I identified output should not be clumsy. So to avoid that clumsiness, and I have created the tables. So see here, we can take. So I have taken blood donors information system. I have taken blood donors information system and HTML, created the table with border 1. Same code I use it for this also, but the output will be in the form of a table. So when I have taken the table border 1, I got the output like this. With the Sharath O positive, I have got with the table border 1. So we have taken here only blood group O positive, that's why previous attributes are deleted. See here, donor with only blood group O positive I have taken. So the previous set of attributes disappeared. In the previous examples, we have two examples and we have not specified donor any condition. Here there is no condition specified for the donor, so all the donors are appeared. But in the next example, I have specified a blood group O positive for the donor, so only people with the blood group O positive are matched and we got only that output. Similarly, if you want to write, so see the example. Similarly, if you want to write the XML file for the people who are from Guntur and having blood group B positive, simply in the above example, you should replace the O positive with B positive and specify the condition as Guntur. So now you want to write a XML program and you want to generate a XSL file. So in this file also you want the output with only Guntur people having B positive blood group. Then you should write the statement as style sheet for each element donor. In donor also we have specified the B positive and from the district name Guntur. So this is the final example. These and all the examples for generating the style sheets. So let us see from here. With this we can conclude unit 3. So first we identified there is no formatted data in the XML. So XML data will always be in a unformatted form. To avoid this, we decided to generate a result tree. So in this slide you can see the result tree, which is the example for blood donor information system. So we have the problem with the result trees. What if the XML file and style sheet both are not attached properly, both are not executed properly, then we will not get the proper output. For that, we have decided to get the XML sheet and XSL sheet both are attached good. For that we are generating result trees, but the result is in clumsy form. To avoid this, we are using the table format, using the table borders. Then also we have a problem that if I want to get only particular donor information and I don't want all the data set. So to get only particular data and not to get all the data set, I have specified the donor information. Same wise, if you want to write another example with the only specified reasons of B positive and Guntur, then in the above program you have to make changes as, here you should change this group as B positive and you should add the district name as Guntur in quotations. So if you make these changes in the same program, if you make the group changes as B positive and add another attribute as district name Guntur, then you people can get the output with only B positive Guntur people. So this is what we have discussed today. So what is XML? What are the types? What is XML parser and what are the types? So how we can define them? So what are the commonly used parsers? What is the difference between them? So what you can tell a well-formed document examples with 5 attributes. So these are the 5 attributes. First thing, you must have a root element. Second thing, you must have the opening tag and ending tag. Third thing, you must have appropriate nesting. Then all the values must be quoted in the quotations and you should have the matching of tags. Then how you can validate the XML document? if you want to validate the XML document, how you can do that? Then what is XSLT? What are the three parts in XSLT? Path and query. So then what are the elements? So then what are the problems and how we can solve them? So by this we can end today's session, and in the next class I am going to start unit 4.
Okay, madam.